Before Japanese minimalism, my life was a mess. Have you ever looked around your room and felt like your surroundings were controlling your mind? Like every item, every pile of clothes, every messy corner was pulling you down with invisible weight? What if the problem wasn't your life, but the clutter around it? Life before minimalism. Before we discovered Japanese minimalism, our daily lives were chaotic in ways we didn't even notice. We woke up to rooms filled with piles of clothes, drawers stuffed with things we hadn't touched in years, and shelves loaded with objects that looked nice but served no real purpose. It felt normal because we thought that owning more meant living better. But inside, we were constantly overwhelmed. The more we bought, the less peace we had. Our homes looked like storage units, and our minds felt just as crowded. It wasn't just about mess, it was about how that mess shaped the way we felt, thought, and even interacted with others. Clutter quietly drained our energy and stole our focus, even though we didn't realize it at first. The hidden weight of clutter. We rarely connect the state of our homes to the state of our minds, but science shows there is a direct link. A study by UCLA's Center on Everyday Lives found that people with cluttered homes often reported higher levels of stress, especially women. And doesn't that make sense? Imagine walking into a room where every surface is covered with stuff. Your eyes don't know where to settle. Your mind keeps scanning the chaos, and without even realizing it, your stress levels rise. That was our reality. Even simple things like trying to find our keys became small daily battles. It wasn't just inconvenient, it shaped our moods. We snapped at each other more often, we felt restless, and strangely enough, even though we had more possessions than ever, we didn't feel happier. We felt drained. When more doesn't mean better. For years, we kept believing the lie that having more was the answer. More clothes for different occasions, more decorations to make the house feel cozy, more gadgets to make life easier. But instead of feeling abundance, we felt suffocated. Closets overflowed, drawers refused to close, and every shopping trip only added to the pressure. There's even research showing that the average American household has around 300,000 items. Think about that for a second. 300,000 little things competing for our attention. No wonder we felt tired all the time. We didn't own things, things owned us. It's almost as if we were living in a museum of our own bad decisions, where every object told a story of impulse and distraction rather than peace and purpose. And at some point, we had to ask ourselves, when did our homes stop being places of rest and turn into warehouses? Discovering Japanese minimalism. The turning point came when we stumbled across Japanese minimalism. At first, it felt almost shocking. We saw homes with clean, open spaces, with only a few carefully chosen items. Rooms looked calm, not empty, but intentional. It was like breathing fresh air after living in a crowded room for too long. What struck us most wasn't just the beauty of these spaces, but the philosophy behind them. Japanese minimalism isn't about getting rid of everything. It's about keeping only what truly matters, things that bring value, peace, or joy. It's deeply influenced by Zen principles, which focus on simplicity, balance, and clarity. For us, it wasn't just about organizing. It was about redefining what enough really meant. And in that moment, we realized that maybe the life we wanted wasn't buried under piles of stuff, but waiting for us in simplicity. Why simplicity feels so liberating. The first time we cleared out a room using minimalist principles, the feeling was hard to describe. Suddenly, the space felt lighter, and so did we. Our minds didn't have to process dozens of distractions. Instead, we felt calm. There's actually science to explain this. Clutter bombards our brains with too many signals, which increases stress hormones like cortisol. But when the space is clear, the brain naturally relaxes because it doesn't have to keep scanning for threats or decisions. This is why Japanese minimalist spaces often look so serene. They're designed to reduce mental noise. The funny thing is, once we experienced it, we wondered why we hadn't done it sooner. It wasn't about having less for the sake of less. It was about making room for what actually mattered: rest, family, creativity, and peace. The shift in our daily life. Slowly, our daily routines began to change. Mornings were no longer a frantic search for clothes buried in piles. Cooking didn't feel stressful because the kitchen wasn't overflowing with unused gadgets. Even cleaning became easier because there was less to clean. And this shift went beyond chores. We noticed we started arguing less because our environment no longer added stress to small problems. We started to feel more present. Japanese minimalism showed us that a calm space creates a calm mind. It was like discovering a secret we should have known all along, that peace isn't hidden in the future, it can be built right here, in the rooms where we live every day. Learning the true value of things. Perhaps the biggest lesson we learned is that not all things are equal. Before minimalism, everything felt important, so nothing truly was. But when we started choosing carefully, we began to see the difference between what we used and loved and what was simply taking up space. Japanese minimalism isn't about living with nothing, it's about living with intention. A single well-crafted table meant more than 5 cheap ones that wobbled. A few clothes we loved and wore often brought us more joy than a closet stuffed with outfits we never touched. This shift in mindset taught us gratitude. We stopped chasing the next purchase and started appreciating what we already had. And strangely enough, that made us feel richer than ever. Minimalism as a path, not a rulebook. One of the biggest misconceptions about minimalism is that it's rigid, like you must live with only a certain number of items. But Japanese minimalism isn't about rules, it's about freedom. It's not about counting chairs or cups, but about asking ourselves what adds value to our lives and what doesn't. That's why it works for anyone, in any culture or home. We didn't have to give up comfort, we just gave up excess. And what remained was clarity. Our homes turned from cluttered storage rooms into intentional spaces that supported us instead of draining us. It wasn't about perfection, it was about progress. Every small step, clearing a drawer, letting go of clothes, rethinking a purchase, added up to a lifestyle that felt more aligned with who we wanted to be. The surprising ripple effect. What surprised us most was how minimalism spread into other parts of our lives. It wasn't just about cleaning rooms. It changed the way we used technology, the way we spent money, even the way we approached relationships. We stopped filling our time with endless distractions and started making space for meaningful activities. Instead of scrolling for hours, we read, took walks, and actually talked to each other. By reducing excess in our environment, we also reduced excess in our habits. That's the beauty of Japanese minimalism. It starts with the home, but touches every corner of life. And the more we simplified, the more energy we had for the things that truly mattered. From mess to meaning. Looking back, life before Japanese minimalism feels like a completely different chapter. We were constantly surrounded by noise, both physical and mental. Our homes were filled with things, but our lives were strangely empty. Minimalism taught us the opposite, that when we create space, meaning fills it. The journey wasn't always easy, but it was worth it. Today, our homes feel lighter, our minds feel calmer, and our days feel more intentional. And maybe that's the real secret. Before Japanese minimalism, our lives were a mess, not because we were broken, but because we were buried under things that didn't matter. Once we let them go, we finally had room for what truly does.